How could we help you today?
Okay, I have been married for 2.5 years.
Okay.
Second marriage. My husband and I both Christians. About a year ago, my stepson, when he was away at school, started having seizures out of blue. He's 20 years old. He off and on had them all summer long. He has since moved in with us in October of this year.
What causes the seizures? What causes
Pardon me?
What causes those seizures?
No one knows.
That's too bad.
He's
Sorry.
My husband's doing a lot of natural things that haven't helped, but and so he's not always been on the proper dose of medication, and he's still probably not on the dose that he needs to be on, but he's working his way up at this point because he continues off and on to have them, like maybe every month or so.
Yeah.
When he forgets to take them or whatnot, whatever the case might be. But anyway, since he has moved in, or not even since then, since this has all started happening, and he came home in April, my husband's totally like, our marriage hasn't been the same since. He's like a lot with this son, always with this boy, and I know he's concerned about him, but also it seems to be a little bit over the top to me. And
okay, before you ask your question, tell us what your marriage was like as accurately as possible before his son had the first seizure.
No, this is her son, isn't it?
No.
Whose son is this?
Not mine. This is my husband's son. He's my stepson.
Okay, this is your stepson.
Yeah. Okay. So, what was the marriage like before the stepson had the seizure, as accurately as you can?
Well, he's always somewhat had a connection with this boy, or he's one of 3 of my husband's kids. But we did everything together, a lot of things together. I would say it was not without problems because I moved several miles away to get married to him, so I left everything, so that was a little bit difficult. But basically, we did everything together. Had a good time. I don't know what else you want.
Were you close?
Me on that.
Were you close?
Yeah.
I mean, you did stuff together, but were you close?
I felt like we were close. Yes.
Okay. All right, and so then he has a seizure, and now you think he's going overboard in his care for the 20-year-old and his focus and the time that he spends with him.
Correct.
All right. What's the question for us then?
Well, okay, I'm not coping very well. There's just several dynamics going on, and it's just I feel like that my husband and I are not really one. He's more at one with his son, and I'm like the third party out.
Right. Okay. And this is since April.
Yes, and really magnified since he moved in full time in October.
Okay.
His mom moved him out, told him she didn't want him there anymore.
Okay.
And he moved in with us full time.
Mylan, what do you think?
Well, the issue, Susie, is you struggle if somebody pulls their attention away from you.
Yes.
And that's probably been true before you ever met your current husband. It may have been true in your first marriage, and it may have been true throughout your adolescence. If somebody doesn't see you, or they ignore you, or they slight you, or they don't give you the attention that you'd like to have, you have a sensitivity to attention.
Well, Mylan, that's kind of tough.
Well, I'm asking if you think that's true.
Oh, if it's true, I don't think that is true.
Okay. Okay, so I may be wrong here. That's okay. I'm trying to understand something about you. But because oftentimes there are people in this world who are very sensitive to being rejected or abandoned, or to being moved from close to far and to have somebody else take their place, or perception that the other person is taking their place. It's hard for them to share affection.
So, Susie, what about this in light of what Mylan just said? You told us that you left everything. And you moved away from significant support to be with your husband. And he kind of embraced you in that. You kind of moved into his nest, and he's been there kind of supporting you, loving up on you, and it's really been a union. And so kind of like what Mylan's talking about is this has been the first thing that's really threatened that union.
Yes, I would say so.
Okay, and so that in itself is kind of like, whoa, what's happening here? You know, we had this union together, and now all of a sudden his son comes in, and now I'm feeling feelings of jealousy. I've got some resentment. I'm feeling like I'm competing for time because it feels like what was isn't what is in the moment. Is that true?
True.
So one of my first questions to you is first off, I feel the pain of your situation in the moment. But my other question is, have you spent over the last couple of years time in developing a new network of support people in your new nest outside of your husband?
No, not really. I have a small support system, very small.
Like one person, maybe?
Yep, maybe one person.
Okay, so Mylan's really was picking up on that. There's not enough support in your life to help you carry you through this hardship. I mean, right now, truly, your husband needs you to kind of align with him and kind of walk into this dark zone with his son. And it's hard for you to do that if you're feeling like you're fighting and jealous and wrestling for time. And so you may need to get some support from someplace else. Maybe he is going overboard. Maybe he's freaked out. Maybe he's scared. I mean, I was a little concerned when you said he was just kind of doing the natural thing, and that medication hasn't been dosed in. I'm like, when you come to seizures, you guys need to be getting in to see a specialist.
Well, I've pushed for all that, but I have little control because I'm not the parent. So I've asked for that since he's been here.
Yeah, and I think those bells and whistles are accurate because he probably needs more support. Your husband may be carrying too much support. If he's not getting enough support from the right medical people, your husband might be carrying that, and that's way too much weight.
I would say before you go after your husband on too much attention, that you wait until the medication has finally controlled the seizures.
Yeah.
And then you talk with him about your needs and your background and some of the things that like Mylan and Sherry are talking about. And because you do have a need for the attention.
And a fear that it's going to stay this way.
But it doesn't mean it doesn't mean that he's the bad guy and you have a need. It could mean he's a very dedicated father. His son needs him. He's in trouble. It's all he's got. And you want to be sure that your need is addressed because you see it as a weakness that you have, or you see it as a defect that you have that started very, very early in your life. So this becomes a source of bringing you together rather than he's over there thinking, man, why can't she give me some space to take care of this boy? And you're thinking, why can't he pay attention to me?
See, both people might be out of balance here.
Yeah.
See, both people could be suffering.
Yeah.
And when you take off and leave, Susie, sort of an all or nothing thing, and you plunge yourself into a relationship, you're used to all. And what your husband is choosing is moving it to some or shared because of something that's urgent. Now, he may be overly involved with the son, but he may be, like a lot of us as parents, if we have a son or a child going through a significant physical problem, it does occupy our attention. And so he could also be off, though, as to how much time he is sharing there. I think the thing that's really important is this sort of all or nothing thing. Either we're all in, or if I'm in third place, I feel like I'm very threatened here, as Sherry said. It's a nothing. I'm going to a place where I'm losing ground. And I would still suggest that there's probably some themes of that in your history that might be a part of an unpleasant history of having somebody leave you, not give you attention, abandon you, et cetera, et cetera. So just think about that. So I think Steve and Sherry's insight is good. Talk to your husband. How do we share life together?
And how do we share this hard time? I mean, sometimes couples can bond in foxholes, right? When you've got a
that's
battle.
not happening here.
No.
That's right.
Yeah, they're like, you can come together in the same foxhole. You know?
Here's the problem with the step parent. Like Susie just said, this is a real problem. I'm here. I'm with this kid, but my vote doesn't count.
Exactly.
See,
how hard that is.
How hard that is for Susie.
Yep.
I've been pulling for something like the correct doctors or a correct diagnosis or taking the right
I think she's got some good points.
She's got some great points, and nobody listens to me. So it's sort of this
You're
whole...
cutting me out.
You're not listening to me. And so it's the powerlessness that you might feel.
They both have needs.
Yeah.
And they both those needs are probably a bit out of whack, like you say.
Or both of them could be tilted in the wrong direction. So that's what good conversation like Steve you're talking about is all about.